Hello everyone, welcome to today. I am singing a song and it has no way that it's going other than bad. Hello everyone, and that was my impromptu song, and you can tell why. I am not a singer and I'm definitely not a songwriter. But maybe if I had like 30 seconds to think about it, then maybe I'd come up with something better. But anyway, I welcome you today, and I am so glad that you're here. I think we could all agree that when we are talking about an extroverted function, we're talking about one that is objective, and an introverted function would be subjective. So, same thing with the animals. And so the most objective animal would be play, because it's both functions are extroverted. And so it is objectively focused, so focused outward, focused towards others and what others are doing. Of course, she wants to play with her toy right now. And then we have the subjective functions in animals. So the most subjective animal would be sleep, because both of the functions are introverted. And so that would be, again, focused more on inward focused. What do I think? That kind of thing. What do others think? What is happening outside versus what's happening inside? What outside observations do I see versus what inside observations am I thinking of? That kind of thing. And then when we think about this objectivity versus subjectivity, it would then become a tidal wave, let's say, where if you are using more of play, the play animal, it would be harder for you to be subjective. And then vice versa, if you're using the sleep animal, it would be harder for you to be objective. And objective, again, is looking outward to, I guess I keep saying that because I feel like I'm calling somebody who is sleep savior non-objective. And that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying that in this terminology that we're using, objective would mean looking outward for answers. And again, it's not going to be never that everybody with sleep savior is never looking outward and play savior is never looking inward. It's just the trends, what is naturally happening most of the time. That's where your natural go-to is. And then also, like when we think about like placement, when the play and the sleep are next to each other, then that balance would be a little bit better versus like if they're on the poles. So if you have a play and sleep in the middle, then you're going back and forth and you're saying, what do you think? What do I think? What's the world seeing and saying? What is I'm seeing and saying? And, etc. Okay, that's clear. And so this idea was just, I was reminded of this idea because I was kind of confronted with a situation, with a scenario where I was expected to be subjective and I was having the hardest time. So I realized, oh my gosh, this is another area where people can have tidal waves. My specific example is referring to pain levels. I've been dealing with some pain issues in my lower back, and of course every single doctor, and I mean, as a tangent, I am so bad when it comes to talking to doctors. I have no idea why. I think a lot of it is just nerves, but then also it is not knowing exactly the information that they want, because I feel like I give them such random information and I'm not very linear with my information, both timeline and like progression of things, and it just feels like, oh, and then this is also happening, oh, and this too, and oh, I don't know, what about this too? And it's like, they're gonna put it all together. I'm just giving them all the information. But that makes me really bad at talking to doctors. I have high blood pressure every time I go to the doctor, and I don't think that it's happening when I'm at home. I'm just like, so nervous, and I'm afraid I'm going to miss something, and I'm never prepared enough to go to the doctor, even though I know it's happening, and then they ask me questions that I'm not prepared for, and then it's like, oh, this is so stressful, and I just want to get help. But anyway, every single time they ask you these subjective questions, and I didn't realize that they were subjective, and so it was just so hard for me to answer them, because it's like, wait a minute, I don't know where I fit in between, this person and that person. I don't know what this is. And so pain level was one of those questions. And my husband Chris just kept telling me, it doesn't matter how so and so is feeling or how this person is feeling. You just have to think about in relation to yourself. And I'm like, really? That's how I'm supposed to think about it? Because that doesn't... What? This is supposed to be like my point of view? Because I feel like it should be like a 10 is a 10 is a 10 versus like, oh, a 1. If everybody's saying that this is a 1, then okay, then a doctor can move forward. But what if my 1 is somebody else's 10? And what if somebody's 10 is my 1? Wait, I just said the same thing twice. Yeah, get what I'm saying. But that's what I was always hesitant to, like, and it always not troubled me. It just always got me. That question was like, I don't really know how to answer this question. And so that's always what's running through my mind. Okay, here is what I'm feeling, but and actually I should say, here, this is what I'm feeling, and this is the type of problem I have. What do other people that have a similar type of problem, how are they feeling? And it's like, I need to know all the other varieties of answers to see where I fit in there. Like for this back pain, I've gone to see urgent care. Then she sent me to go see a orthopedic surgeon, and then she also said, oh, you might want to try physical therapy. And each time they're asking me the same questions, and I'm having to say the same answers, and then it's making me reflect, is this really an 8? Do I really want to say 8? Is this really an 8? I mean, what if there's another 8? What if, and like, oh gosh, don't get me on the 10. It's like, I had kidney stones, and that felt like a 10, but then I get to thinking, it's like, what if that isn't the most pain that I'm ever going to feel? Like, is this worthy of a 10? Maybe I should have said 9.5. Maybe I need to reserve the 10 for something else. But then I realized, okay, wait, that's silly. I can't just keep reserving the 10, because eventually something's got to be a 10. I had to keep saying, oh, this is an 8 when it's at its worst, and da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, I've said this already, but okay, I gotta remember, you're a new person. You haven't heard all this information, although I wrote it all on the papers. Now I gotta repeat it again, and it just feels, it feels so redundant. But yeah, so that struggle that I'm having with got me thinking that my problem is I'm looking to two different things that is outward. So what are other people saying, and under what conditions does this represent, let's say, an 8, a 5, something. Give me anything. I will take any kind of data. Give me some concepts, give me some sensory, give me some reasons, give me some feelings. I want it all, because in this particular case, I want to be objective as possible. And then realizing that that is totally wrong. I don't need to be objective in this moment. And that's another area where we can balance. That has definitely been key to this channel. So that means I need to kind of look at each situation with wisdom. Is this a moment where I should be more looking outward, or more looking inward, or, some variation thereof? And the thing is, you're never going to have like in this exact case, are you going to do this and that and this and that? And that's where these general ideas are going to be helpful, because then it's like, it's going to work, and it works in a big umbrella of situations. And so in this particular case, I definitely need to be looking more subjectively. This is my body, my pain only. And this is really the key. This is where it made it click in my mind when Chris said to me, I don't know what you're feeling. Only you know what you're feeling. Only you know what pain you're going through. The doctors don't know what pain you're going through. Only you know that. And then I realized, oh my gosh, that is true. That is, there is no way, even when I describe everything that I can about it, which I don't do a good job of anyway, even if I described every single teeny tiny detail, they could still never tell me exactly where I fit on the spectrum, because it's my personal spectrum. And I'm finding that there's a lot of things in life where it should be subjective, and I need to identify my own personal spectrum, and I don't have it. I don't have a personal spectrum. I'm not really organizing it in that particular way. I am organizing the spectrum of the outside world and what others are thinking and what others are saying. This works better than this works better than that, and better and better and better. Those things I'm looking outwardly to what people are saying and doing and how they are behaving. But I'm not creating the same thing for myself. I'm not taking that time. And so, that goes exactly to what I was talking about recently about coming up with a wardrobe. I came up with a wardrobe that is objectively acceptable, objectively will get compliments. But what about me? I need to give myself a compliment, and I just got in the routine of just like looking outwardly to see what everyone else is saying, everyone else is thinking and doing, but not for myself. So that was just a look at kind of the stark difference between the double extroverted animal and the double introverted animal, and how they are focused they're doing the same thing, creating that spectrum, but they're doing that, they have a different foci, outward versus inward, and how definitely anything that has extremes, you're gonna find tidal waves with that. And so I am wondering, is this also happening to you? Are you finding tidal waves there too? Because I would love to hear, what are your tidal waves when you're dealing with objective versus subjective, and how are you working through them? I don't really have any advice. I don't have any information as to what you could do, other than all I know is being aware of it has been very helpful. And so that I'm going to take with me. So when I get to a moment again, it's going to be another one of those stop and think, am I supposed to be objective on this? Am I supposed to be subjective, or somewhere in between? Because most likely it's going to be somewhere in between, but maybe a little bit more this way, or maybe a little bit more that way. Anyway, I'm now rambling, and so thank you for joining me this week. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you again next time. Bye.